Have you ever looked at your bank account and wondered where all your money went? You know the feeling. You earned a decent paycheck, you weren't exactly living like a millionaire, but somehow your savings account is looking about as impressive as a gas station sandwich. Meanwhile, your neighbor just bought another new gadget, your coworker is planning their third vacation this year, and you're sitting there wondering if you're the only person who apparently can't figure out this whole money thing. Well, here's something that might make you feel better and probably a little worse at the same time. Most people aren't actually better with money than you are, they're just making different mistakes. And some of those mistakes are so common, so widely accepted that we don't even recognize them as financial traps anymore. We think we're being smart consumers, responsible adults, or savvy investors when we're actually throwing money away on things that used to make sense but no longer do. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time analyzing why people stay broke despite earning decent money. If you're tired of watching your hard-earned cash disappear into financial black holes disguised as smart purchases, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button, because what I'm about to share with you could literally save you thousands of dollars this year alone. The world has changed dramatically in the last decade, but our spending habits haven't caught up. Things that were good deals 5 years ago are now complete ripoffs. Strategies that used to build wealth now destroy it. Products that once provided value have become elaborate schemes to separate you from your money. Yet most people keep buying them because that's what they've always done, or because everyone else is doing it, or because some marketing team convinced them it's still a smart choice. Today I'm going to walk you through 10 things that are no longer worth buying. Not because they're inherently evil or because I want you to live like a monk, but because the math simply doesn't work anymore. Each of these represents money that could be working for you instead of against you. And when you add up all the money people waste on these 10 things, we're talking about enough cash to completely change someone's financial trajectory. But here's what makes this even more interesting. The people who recognize these traps early and avoid them aren't just saving money. They're building wealth while everyone else is spinning their wheels. They're the ones who seem to magically have money for opportunities when they arise, who can take risks that others can't afford, who retire earlier and live more comfortably. The difference isn't necessarily that they earn more money, it's that they stopped throwing money away on things that don't work anymore. Before we dive into the specific items, let me give you a framework for thinking about this. Every dollar you spend falls into one of three categories. There are dollars that generate more dollars, like investments or education, that increases your earning potential. There are dollars that provide genuine value or necessity, like food, shelter, and healthcare. And then there are dollars that disappear into thin air, providing neither financial return nor meaningful value. The third category is where most people lose the game without even realizing they're playing. The items on this list have shifted from category 2 to category 3, often without people noticing. They used to provide value, they used to make financial sense, but economic conditions, technology, market changes, and evolving business models have turned them into wealth destroyers. The problem is that old habits die hard and marketing messages haven't updated to reflect these new realities. Let's start with something that sounds incredibly responsible and intelligent: investments you don't understand. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this is obvious, hear me out. The number of people losing serious money on investments they can't explain is absolutely staggering. We're not talking about pocket change here. We're talking about people wiping out years of savings in a matter of months. The cryptocurrency boom created millions of amateur investors who threw money at digital assets they couldn't define if their life depended on it. Startup investing platforms made it easy for regular people to fund businesses they knew nothing about in industries they didn't understand. Meme stocks turned the stock market into a casino where people place bets based on social media hype rather than financial fundamentals. Here's what's really happening. One bad investment decision can erase years of careful saving. I've seen people lose $10, $20, even $50,000 chasing investments they heard about from friends, saw on social media, or read about in some newsletter. They didn't understand the risks, the business model, the market dynamics, or the exit strategy. They just knew that someone somewhere was making money and they wanted in. The psychological trap is powerful. When an investment is going well, you feel like a genius. When it's going poorly, you convince yourself it's just a temporary setback. Meanwhile, your money is evaporating while you're learning expensive lessons that you could have learned for free by doing research first. Knowledge isn't just power when it comes to investing. Knowledge is protection. Every dollar you invest in something you don't understand is a dollar you're gambling, not investing. And the house always wins in gambling. The solution isn't to avoid investing altogether. It's to only invest in things you genuinely understand after doing your homework. Moving on to something that hits almost everyone but flies completely under the radar, overpriced car insurance. This one is painful because it's so unnecessary and so easy to fix, yet millions of people just keep paying inflated premiums year after year. Here's the reality. Most people are overpaying for car insurance by $300 to over $1,000 annually. That's not a typo. We're talking about enough money to fund a vacation, make extra mortgage payments, or boost your retirement contributions. And the reason they're overpaying isn't because they need premium coverage or drive expensive cars. It's because they haven't compared rates in years or ever. Insurance companies count on customer inertia. They know that most people will just automatically renew their policies without shopping around. So they gradually increase premiums, banking on the fact that you won't notice or won't bother to switch. Meanwhile, competitive companies are offering better rates to attract new customers, but you'll never see those rates unless you actively look for them. The process of comparing insurance rates takes maybe 30 minutes online. 30 minutes to potentially save $1,000 per year. That's better than most people's hourly wage, yet they won't do it because it seems like a hassle. Meanwhile, they'll spend hours researching which restaurant to try or which movie to watch, decisions that cost maybe $50 and affect one evening. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The money you save on car insurance isn't just a one-time benefit. It's money that compounds year after year. If you save $500 annually on insurance and invest that money instead of spending it, you're looking at serious wealth accumulation over time. This is the kind of consistent, boring financial optimization that quietly creates millionaires. Let's talk about something that used to be a great way to save money on travel, but has turned into a complete scam for most people. Airbnbs, the platform started as a way to find affordable, unique accommodations that were often cheaper and more interesting than hotels. That value proposition has been completely destroyed by fees, inflated pricing, and policies that favor hosts over guests. Here's how the numbers actually work out now. You see a listing for what looks like a reasonable nightly rate, let's say $150, then you get to checkout and discover there's a cleaning fee of $75, a service fee of $30, and various other charges that weren't immediately obvious. Your $150 room just became $255, and that's before taxes. Compare that to a hotel room at $200 per night with no hidden fees, daily housekeeping, a front desk for problems, loyalty points, and the ability to cancel without losing money if your plans change. The Airbnb isn't just more expensive, it's less convenient and more risky. For frequent travelers, this adds up to hundreds of wasted dollars per trip. People who travel for work or take multiple vacations per year are literally throwing away thousands annually by choosing Airbnbs over hotels based on advertised rates that aren't real. The platform has essentially become a way for property owners to run unlicensed hotels while charging premium prices and providing substandard service. The cleaning fees alone are often ridiculous, like you're paying $75 for cleaning, but you're also required to do dishes, take out trash, and strip beds before you leave, so you're paying premium prices for the privilege of doing housekeeping work. Hotels provide daily cleaning as part of the standard service, yet somehow we've been convinced that doing the work ourselves while paying more money is a good deal. The psychology behind extended warranties is fascinating and depressing at the same time. You're standing at the checkout counter, about to buy a $500 appliance, and suddenly the salesperson becomes your best friend. They're deeply concerned about your future happiness and want to protect you from the devastating financial blow of potential repairs. For just $99, you can have peace of mind. What they don't mention is that extended warranties are pure profit centers with rejection rates that would make a dating app jealous. Here's the math that retailers don't want you to see. Extended warranties typically cost between 15 and 25% of the item's price, but the actual claims rate is usually under 15%. That means for every $100 consumers spend on extended warranties, only about $12 goes toward actual repairs. The rest is profit for the retailer and the warranty company. But wait, it gets worse. Most extended warranties don't even kick in until after the manufacturer's warranty expires, and they're loaded with exclusions that make them almost worthless when you actually need them. Water damage isn't covered, normal wear and tear isn't covered. If you move the appliance, that might void the warranty. If you didn't register it within 30 days using a process that requires 3 forms of identification and a blood sample, it's void. The real kicker is that most people never even try to use their extended warranties when something breaks. They either forget they have them, can't find the paperwork, or discover that the repair process is so complicated and time-consuming that it's easier to just buy a replacement. Meanwhile, that $99 you spent on warranty protection could have been invested and earning returns for years. If you're buying extended warranties on multiple items per year, you're easily wasting $500 to $1,000 annually on protection you'll probably never use and probably wouldn't work if you tried. That money could fund an emergency fund that actually protects you from unexpected expenses, rather than funding an insurance policy that exists mainly to generate profits for retailers. Let's move on to something that sounds incredibly smart and responsible, but often turns into an expensive lesson in food waste. Buying food in bulk when half of it ends up spoiling. The wholesale club membership seemed like such a good idea. You're going to save money by buying larger quantities at lower per unit prices. You're being a savvy consumer thinking ahead, planning for the future. Then reality hits and your refrigerator becomes a science experiment. The average American household throws away about 20% of the food they buy. 20%. That's like taking every fifth grocery dollar and setting it on fire. For a family spending $400 monthly on groceries, that's $80 worth of food going straight into the garbage. Over a year, that's nearly $1,000 of waste, and that's just average. Some families waste significantly more. Bulk buying amplifies this problem exponentially. You buy the giant container of strawberries because the per pound price is better, but strawberries last about 15 minutes before they start looking like a biology project. You stock up on fresh vegetables with the best intentions, but life gets busy, you order takeout a few times, and suddenly you're composting $50 worth of produce. The psychology is predictable. When you buy large quantities, you feel less guilty about waste because each individual item seems cheap. Throwing away one apple from a 3-pound bag doesn't feel as bad as throwing away a single apple that costs $2, but the math doesn't care about your feelings. Wasted food is wasted money, regardless of how you rationalize it. Even worse, bulk buying often leads to overconsumption of the things that don't spoil, like processed snacks and frozen foods. You buy the economy-size bag of chips because it's a better value, then eat twice as much as you normally would because it's there. You're saving money per unit while spending more money overall, and potentially compromising your health in the process. The solution isn't to never buy in bulk, but to be brutally honest about your actual consumption patterns. If you're consistently throwing away fresh food, you're not saving money by buying larger quantities. You're just wasting money in bigger increments while convincing yourself you're being financially responsible. Here's something that gets almost everyone because the marketing psychology is so powerful. Buying sale items you don't actually need. The clearance rack is like a black hole for common sense and disposable income. You see something marked down 50%, and suddenly your brain starts doing mental gymnastics to justify why you absolutely need this thing you'd never heard of 5 minutes ago. Retail psychology has turned saving money into spending money, and most people don't even realize it's happening. You walk into a store looking for one specific item, but there's a sale on something completely different. The original price was $70, but today only it's $35. You're saving $35, except you're not saving $35. You're spending $35 on something you didn't want or need until a price tag told you it was a bargain. The average person spends hundreds of dollars per year on sale items they never use. Clothes that hang in closets with tags still attached. Kitchen gadgets that take up drawer space but never see actual food. Books that sound interesting at clearance prices but never get opened. Electronics that seem like good deals until you realize you already have something that does the same job. Here's what makes this particularly insidious. Every time you buy something on sale that you don't use, you're not just wasting the money you spent, you're also giving up the opportunity to invest that money or spend it on something you actually value. That $35 clearance purchase could have been $35 toward paying off debt, building an emergency fund, or investing for retirement. The clearance mindset creates a scarcity mentality that overrides rational decision making. You feel pressure to buy now because the sale won't last forever. Even though similar sales happen constantly, retailers rotate their clearance inventory specifically to create this sense of urgency and scarcity. There will always be another sale, another clearance event, another limited time offer. The solution is simple but requires discipline. Where never buy something just because it's on sale. Buy things because you need them, want them, and would purchase them at full price. If the only reason you're considering a purchase is the discount, walk away. Your bank account will thank you, and your living space won't be cluttered with regrettable bargains. Now let's talk about something that hits people right in the emotions and the wallet simultaneously. Unnecessary holiday and birthday gifts. The average adult spends between $500 and $1,000 annually on gifts for people who probably don't need or particularly want what they're receiving. We've created this elaborate system of obligatory gift exchange that enriches retailers while stressing out consumers and cluttering up everyone's homes with stuff they don't use. Think about the last 10 gifts you received that weren't from immediate family members. How many of those items do you still use regularly? How many brought genuine value to your life? How many are sitting in a closet, drawer, or garage serving no purpose other than generating guilt when you consider throwing them away? The gift-giving industrial complex has convinced us that love and friendship are measured in dollars spent at retail establishments. Here's what's really happening. You spend $50 on a gift for your coworker's birthday party. They spend $50 on something for you when your birthday comes around. You both end up with items you don't particularly want, paid for with money you both could have used for something meaningful. It's like a complicated money laundering scheme where everyone loses except the retailers. The worst part is that gift giving has become this weird financial hostage situation where nobody wants to be the first person to suggest maybe we should all stop buying each other stuff we don't need. Meanwhile, everyone is secretly hoping someone else will suggest it first. It's like a Mexican standoff, but instead of guns, everyone's holding credit cards they can't afford to use. The solution isn't to become a holiday Grinch or skip every birthday party. It's to have honest conversations about simplifying gift exchanges or focusing on experiences rather than objects. Some families have started doing Secret Santa instead of buying gifts for everyone. Others have agreed to skip gift exchanges entirely for adults. A few progressive groups have instituted spending limits or agreed to only give homemade gifts. The point is to stop letting retail calendars dictate your spending habits. Let's shift gears to something that's destroying entire generations financially. Paying for degrees you don't use, the higher education industrial complex has convinced millions of people that any degree is better than no degree, regardless of the financial mathematics. Meanwhile, graduates are walking across stages with pieces of paper that cost more than luxury cars and qualify them for jobs that pay less than skilled trades. Here's the brutal reality check. If you borrowed $40,000 to get a degree in a field where the average starting salary is $35,000, you didn't get an education. You got scammed. The debt payments on that education loan will follow you for decades, preventing you from buying home, starting businesses, or building wealth during your prime earning years. The psychology is understandable. Society has spent decades telling young people that college is the only path to middle-class prosperity. Parents want their children to have opportunities they didn't have. Students believe they're investing in their future earning potential. But when the math doesn't work, good intentions become financial disasters. The irony of student loans is particularly cruel. You're told education is an investment in yourself, but investments are supposed to generate returns. If your education generates negative returns for the first 15 years of your career, that's not an investment. That's an expensive mistake with a graduation ceremony. This doesn't mean education is worthless. It means being strategic about what you study and how much you're willing to pay for it. Community college transfers, in-state tuition, scholarships, and choosing fields with actual job prospects can make education a genuine investment rather than a financial death sentence. But borrowing 6 figures to study something with limited earning potential is like buying a Ferrari to deliver pizzas. Moving on to something that seems insignificant but adds up to shocking amounts over time. Small daily spending habits that provide zero lasting value. That $6 coffee every morning, the $12 lunch you grab because you didn't meal prep, the random snacks, energy drinks, and convenience store purchases that happen without conscious thought. Here's where the math gets depressing. A $10 daily habit costs you $3,650 annually. Most people have multiple $10 habits. The morning coffee run, the afternoon snack attack, the evening convenience store stop for whatever caught their eye. We're talking about enough money to fund a vacation, make significant debt payments, or build substantial emergency savings. But it's not just about the immediate cost. It's about the opportunity cost of that money. $10 invested daily at reasonable returns becomes enormous wealth over decades. Instead, it's buying temporary satisfaction that's forgotten within hours. You're trading long-term financial security for short-term convenience and momentary pleasure. The psychological trap is that each individual purchase feels insignificant. $6 for coffee doesn't seem like a big deal when you're earning decent money, but $6 multiplied by working days multiplied by years becomes a substantial sum that could have changed your financial trajectory if deployed differently. Finally, let's talk about the big one, the expense that kills more dreams than any other, overpaying for housing. It's like whether you're renting or buying, housing is typically the largest expense in most people's budgets. And because it's so large, even small mistakes in this category have massive financial consequences. The traditional advice is that housing should cost no more than 30% of your gross income. But in many markets, people are spending 40, 50, even 60% of their income on housing costs. This leaves virtually nothing for saving, investing, or building wealth. You become a slave to your mortgage or rent payment, working primarily to keep a roof over your head. Here's what happens when you overpay for housing. Every other financial goal becomes secondary. You can't build an emergency fund because all your money goes to housing costs. You can't invest for retirement because you're house poor. You can't take career risks or start a business because you need every paycheck to cover your oversized housing payment. You become trapped in a golden cage of your own making. The solution requires uncomfortable honesty about your actual needs versus your wants. Do you need the prestigious neighborhood or do you want it? Do you need the extra bedroom that will sit empty most of the time, or would a smaller space allow you to build wealth? Do you need to buy right now, or could you rent affordably while saving for a larger down payment? Housing decisions made in your 20s and 30s determine your financial flexibility for decades. Choose wisely, because this single category can make the difference between building wealth and staying broke despite earning good money. There you have it. It's those 10 things that are no longer worth buying, representing thousands of dollars in potential savings annually for most people. The beautiful thing about avoiding these financial traps is that the money doesn't just disappear. It can be redirected toward things that actually build wealth and improve your life. Stop funding these industries built on your financial ignorance and start building the life you actually want instead.